Right, let's get to it, shall we? Hello and welcome to this channel all about the NFL from a UK perspective. My name is Tom and I've been following the NFL now for the past, almost 10 years. And I believe I've got a lot of insights to share from a UK perspective. Yes, we have games over here now, but there's so much going on over in America. Constant breaking news, coverage, just content coming out 24/7. And if you're thinking about getting into American football and you're from the UK or from abroad, it's absolutely fine, then this could be the place to be, where you just gain that little bit more insight from a fan's perspective. And hopefully I can point you in the right direction as to where you should go for your information, for your content, for your news, and education as well, because there's a lot to learn when it comes to American football. And I'm still learning, by the way. It's never ending, it's constantly changing, rules and whatnot. But yeah, it's a fantastic sport to follow. And the truth is, there's not a lot of people talking about it over here in the UK. So hopefully this can be the hub for that in the near future. We might be able to build a little community here perhaps, and we're all going to hang out and chat about the American football news, the games. Maybe we'll do some live streams in the near future, following along with some of the games like the Super Bowl. There's just so much we can do, but we've got to make a start. And I thought, what better way to start than talking about how I got into American football, where you can watch it, a few things you should know to get you started. And I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments as well. So let's move over to a live little presentation that I've set up on the computer. And let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're on the laptop now, and straight away the first image that I thought really sums up the NFL, it featured this guy, Tom Brady. You may have heard of that name. He's an absolute legend in the sport. He's been a thorn in many teams, lack of success for almost 20 years, in the recent years as well. He's just retired not too long ago. Absolute legend, probably the greatest of all time, to be honest. And he plays the most important position, the quarterback position. So as a fan, you're obviously going to want to watch the games. And to be honest, there are a lot of places you can watch it now, especially here in the UK. We've got Sky Sports that stream games every Sunday. And then there's also like Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. You can mostly watch those as well on Sky Sports. But the actual hub, the home for all the games is DAZN. Now, I don't really know this platform very well. I believe it was set up for boxing originally. But yeah, they very much own the NFL Gamepass these days, which is pretty much what you pay for to watch all the games, to get live coverage. But also on DAZN, you do get a lot more than just the games. And you'll see this a lot with American football, that there's just so much content, and it is 24/7 if you want it to be. So the way I got into American football was actually through this series called Hard Knocks. I was away on a cycling holiday, if you like, up in Ireland, and one of the B&Bs that I stayed in, they gave me access to the TV, and I was sat there having my pizza or whatever I was eating, and there on the telly at the time was this show called Hard Knocks, and I decided to leave it on, and it was probably the best decision or the worst decision in terms of how much attention this sport's taken of my life. But yeah, I decided to watch Hard Knocks, and it was the LA Rams, I believe. Jared Goff, he was their quarterback. He'd just come in, he'd been drafted number 1. And I'm not going to lie, they were a mess. That team were a mess, but it was just so interesting seeing behind the scenes of the LA Rams and of American football in general, getting to see the amount of stuff that goes into training, strategy, all these plays that they have designed for minutes throughout the games. Just mind-blowing. Honestly, I did not know just how much thought would go into every single moment of every single game. And I'm used to watching Premier League football, where there's just a lot of passing around, and it's actually quite slow when you watch football now versus American football, which is extremely fast twitch. It's very fast paced. In any given moment, there could be a game-winning play. So you've got to be on it as a fan, but also obviously as a player definitely. And yeah, it all happens in moments. So it is really interesting to see how much development goes into every single part of every single moment of the games. So I would highly recommend watching any of the series of Hard Knocks, to be honest. They're all really insightful and they try to go through all the different teams. So my advice would be to go back and watch some of the older ones. There's some amazing Hard Knocks series on there. But it doesn't stop there. You don't just have to watch Hard Knocks. You've got so many docuseries like the NFL Originals. They'll focus on players, they'll focus on teams, moments within games. Obviously, seeing the legends and their stories, like Tom Brady, he's obviously going to be on the NFL Originals. You've got to watch some of those because it's just, again, it really emphasizes how much goes into creating what is probably the most popular sport in the world right now. And yeah, that insight, going back in time, it really helps you make sense of the sport, and if anything, it makes you appreciate every single moment. And if you're part of, you're witnessing a moment in history, you'll be able to look back at this through an NFL Original series in the future and relive it. So yeah, definitely have a look at some of the NFL Originals, and these are all on DAZN. There's also things like the NFL Top 100 Players. Now, the players themselves will vote who they think are the top 100 players. It's a really interesting concept, and there's a lot of competitiveness, rivalries. Some players will take offence to the fact that they've not been picked on this list, or they've not been ranked higher than they think they should be. And this happens every year. So it's really interesting to see who the players respect the most. And oftentimes it isn't a quarterback the most important position that's ranked number one. It can be a wide receiver. It can be, a defensive player. There's so much talent in the sport, and it's great to see who the players think are the best. So yeah, it's definitely something to look at. And then lastly, on DAZN, with the NFL Network, you've basically got 24/7 coverage talking about the sport. So at any given moment, you can just turn it on and get a load of just the sport. You're not having to watch news on other things. Like Sky Sports News is great, but oftentimes they'll cover tennis, they'll cover golf, football, obviously, Premier League football. And so just to get that niche coverage of the NFL is fantastic. So again, all on DAZN. Now, with the NFL, obviously, you will have heard of the Super Bowl, and that is the final, if you like. It's the final game of the season between the two teams that have come through, beating everybody else to get to this position. And it's a big, big game. It's also a massive spectacle. And I'm not going to lie, it is a bit too hyped for me. It doesn't tend to be the best game of the year, even though they might be the two best teams that year. I think there's just too much stop-start with it. There's so many adverts. There's a massive halftime show, which you can see here on the screen. We've got Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige. They do these halftime performances, and it's always, a big music style that comes on, and there tends to be some shocks in there as well. And oftentimes it's the halftime show that gets talked about more than the game. It's just bizarre. It's just something you have to get used to when you're following American football. But this halftime show in particular was very entertaining. Eminem came out as well, and it was really good to relive some of the tracks that I grew up, some of the stars that I grew up listening to. So it's not all bad anyway. But yeah, being an NFL fan in the UK, we do get games every year now that play over here. So you may know that they play at Wembley. They also play at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. I have been to one of those games. It's quite difficult to get tickets, I'm not going to lie. I got them for a friend at the time. What I would say about the NFL over here is, because we don't get to see our teams play at all really over here as fans, what happens is you just get fans from all teams attending these games, and so the atmosphere isn't that hostile, especially for a home team. It's quite a mismatch of just fans from all over supporting different teams. And so the big moments in the game don't have that fan atmosphere behind them. But you'll definitely get that at the home stadiums in America. Wow, there's some of the loudest games you'll ever listen to on the telly. It's just deafening. I can't imagine what it must be like as a player. But yeah, like I said, the games are over here and they're starting to dot them all around the world, whether it be Brazil, Mexico, Germany, and that will continue for a long, long time. Now, in the near future, I do believe the UK could get a franchise. I don't know how it will work because of the travel time, but as technology improves and the speed of the flights to get to and from the countries, America and the UK, improves, I think it's going to happen. We're going to get a team that bases themselves over here because there's a lot of money to be made from having a franchise here. So watch this space. We'll definitely talk about that at some point on the channel because I think it's a hot topic. It needs to be discussed. But yeah, if you can get tickets, definitely try and go to a game. It's still great to see the stars play, and they're trying to get the best teams to come over. Maybe this year with the Vikings, the Browns, they're not necessarily the best teams, but in previous years they have had some stars there. I mean, you've got the LA Rams coming to Wembley in October against the Jags, Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, they've got some real talent there. So yeah, try and get tickets if you can. And this is just an image of one of the games. There was the Vikings. I didn't take this picture or anything like that, but it just gives you an idea that they are full. The stadiums are full. The fans want to watch this. So the demand is here. And again, this is why I think this channel is needed, because there's just not a lot of UK punditry, fans talking about the sport on YouTube and whatnot. So hopefully this can be a place for us all to hang out in the future. I think what I love the most about American football is just witnessing moments in time and players that the talent is just off the charts. Like, for example, here in the slideshow, we've got Julio Jones, one of my absolute all-time favourite players, a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, one of the teams that I chose to follow. And he's an absolute legend. He should be going into the NFL Hall of Fame, which is another thing that the Americans love to do. They love to hype up and really celebrate talent. And so the Hall of Fame is just a place for the best players to be inducted into, and they get free healthcare for their lifetime. So there's a real incentive there to be the best you can be. And Jones certainly was. He was an absolute stud at wide receiver. This is one of his famous moments where he managed to rack up, a massive amount of yardage, touchdowns in the game against the Buccaneers. And, when you see these moments and they'll go down in history, I can't explain it. I mean, you'll know it if you follow other sports. With Premier League football, there's always a moment in time that you're just never going to forget. And American football celebrate that more than any other sport for me. And you just want to see it. You want to see this kind of stuff. I do anyway. It's definitely not lacking in ability when it comes to the players on the pitch. These are the best in the world, and I think it's only going to get better. So one thing you'll start to hear more and more about in the NFL is dynasties. And the New England Patriots were one of those dynasties. They were top for, 20 years, something like that, with Tom Brady as quarterback. In fact, Tom Brady in total won 7 Super Bowls in his career, which is just unheard of. Definitely the greatest of all time at his position. And yeah, this is one of those Super Bowls that I watched because they were playing against one of my teams, the Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons were up 28-3 or something daft. And they ended up losing, which was just a ridiculous comeback. The comeback of all comebacks. And to this day, Patriots fans like to remind the Falcons fans of that comeback. You can see this guy here with the 28-3 flag there. Fantastic, also devastating. And then in the bottom corner, you've got Matt Ryan, pretty much just broken after losing that game. against the Patriots. So when it comes to broadcasting in the States with the NFL, there are several sports shows, debate shows that you should check out. One being First Things First. They are really funny, those three guys. They love to debate hot topics in the sport. You've got First Take with Stephen A. Smith, very entertaining. He loves to take the mick out of the Dallas Cowboys, which is America's team. More on those in another video. But yeah, he's very highly intelligent. Definitely check them out. And then you've got Colin Cowherd with The Herd. He very controversial, quite sarcastic when it comes to his takes on certain things happening in the sport. I'd highly recommend checking that one out as well. So there you have it, guys. There's a bit of insight as to how I got into the NFL and things that you should maybe know before considering following the sport yourself. Of course, if you think I've missed anything or you've got any questions for me, do let me know in the comments. And yeah, do consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. I'd really appreciate your support. I shall see you on the next video.